Excuse me trying to make you straight on something that's not very straight. Wait and see if anybody joins us. I think you're over this side, I'm used to looking that side. How you going? Hi Candy, how you going? Hi Dasha. Oh, it's so lovely to see people I know. Candy, you ready for another round of Queen School? Is your body feeling ready? I did a Zoom live today for Embark, and that worked crazy well. So I think we might move to that in Queen School. You know, I always lip balm because I talk a lot. All right. Please feel free to comment. Where's my water? There it is. Please feel free to, you know, chat along or ask a question. Can you hear me, actually? Can I just get a... Yes, I can hear you, Julie. Because tech and me, sometimes we're not best friends. Hey, Liz. How are you going? Can you hear me? Can someone just give me a something? Yes, I can hear you, or no, I can't. I'm hoping you can. But who knows in this crazy world? Hey? Why can't I see comments? I reckon I'm having a comment issue. This happened one time when I did a live as well. Hey, Sarah. So I'm going to jump onto Facebook here just so I can see comments, because I think it might be one of those moments where I can't see you if you're communicating with me. Let me see. Ah, good, yes, so the comments are here, so I might have to look at my computer so I can see you. Can hear me. So good, thanks. I'm glad I checked. There was one live where I was like, no idea, and I just kept going. So this is good. Better I know this now. That's good. So I will keep checking in with the comments then, so in case you need to ask me. All right, so this game plan's a little bit different to the last round of Queen School, because what I realised was there was such an information overload with Queen School that there's actually a significant amount of pre-work. So what I want to do is make that here so that this is the toe dip into all of the ways that we go deeper and do more, but the toe dip I'm hoping will also be something that can be beneficial and of service to people that are not either quite ready to jump into Queen School or unsure and just want to understand my language a little bit more. So I want these, I was gonna say mini modules, not really modules, mini sessions to be enjoyable, to be doable, to not feel so content laden and heavy. And I want them to be an underpinning that says, now when the course starts, I don't have to go back through these basics and we can just hit go and go a bit deeper. Because as you know, Candy, I go pretty deep pretty quick and there's a whole lot of information. So where I want to start is where most people get a little bit clunky, and then every day for 6 days we've got a live. So today was 4:30 only because I have a 12:30 live today in Embark already. So, but every other day it will be at 12:30. So today is understanding masculine, feminine, king, queen. Then tomorrow will be you've attracted the perfect partner for you. Doesn't mean it's set in stone. Number 3 will be don't ice queen him out. Number 4 is balancing boss and queen energy. 5 is the less you open, the more shallow his presence. So some of this language might start to get a bit deep for you, but let's see how we go by then. And number 6 is polarity is a practice, not necessarily a way to live, which is I often think where we get stuck and we stop because it doesn't look like one thing. So, number 1, understanding my language, masculine, feminine, king and queen. So I'm going to start with masculine and feminine. I think probably perhaps one of the best ways to understand this is that you are not your body and you are not your mind. There is some piece of you that exists beyond and behind both those things that have changed since you were a child, right? Your mind has changed, your body has changed, all of your thoughts and perceptions and beliefs, right, mind, have all changed. This has physically grown and changed. But there's this piece of you behind the way I think and the way I look that has never changed. And I wonder if you can touch into that piece of you that you might want to call it soul, you know, whatever language feels good for you, consciousness. There's this piece of us that has never and will never change. There's this continuum behind all of this that changes. I'm hoping that kind of makes sense to you. So that's how I want you to kind of think about masculine and feminine in a really, hopefully, simple way. So the masculine is the piece of you that is constant, that has never changed, that will never change, that is of God, of the divine, by the divine, soul, you know, that light within you, or that piece of you that's nothingness upon which, or consciousness upon which everything else is animated, right? This is an animation of that which always was. Now, I realize some of my language might get a little bit spiritual for you, so, you know, hang in there, ask questions if you want to. And conversely to that, if the masculine is the canvas, the blank, if you like, though of course not blank, nothingness upon which everything is animated, then the feminine is the animation of everything. So where the masculine is nothing, consciousness, is, always was, always will be, right? Nothingness. The feminine is the everythingness. She's the everything that changes and moves and thinks and feels and expresses and has matter, right? She's the animation. She's the art that goes on the blank canvas. Now I say, you'll find with my language that I use him, her, he, she, but what I want you to understand from this is that masculine, feminine is a spectrum. So if you imagine literally a spectrum that exists within you, and we're all on a sliding bar, continuously moving. More masculine, more feminine. I need more of the masculine traits, I need more of the feminine traits. So within you is the entire spectrum. So I'm used to looking up here, and I've got to remember to look over there because I put it long ways, so sorry, I'm not looking at you. But what I want you to know is that you're not static. You will need both masculine and feminine energies in order to live a fulfilling and whole life, because you are an entire universe, right? You are all of it. But you will have one preference or identity for how the very center of you feels most aligned, most lit up, most full of energy and life. There's this part of you that identifies more strongly as a core feminine being or as a core masculine being. That does not mean that you stay in one box or the other, but it means that in order for you to live the most lit up, fulfilled, passion-filled life and relationship, you need to have pockets of time of which you come back to the truth of who you are. At the end of that spectrum, we all exist upon, you know, that core exists upon a spectrum in and of itself. You can have really masculine beings at their core, and you can have kind of more neutral, don't really care so much in the middle, you know. So though I use him and her, and I'm using very simplistic language, I want you to know that is not stuck to the sex that your physiology was born as, but what you, at the center of you, identify as and with. So you can have same-sex relationships, you can have gender-identified, you know, however that spectrum rolls, it's just talking about the preference or the core truth of who you are and how you function, and then the sliding ladder of which you move up and down. Now, the interesting thing with our own preference point and sliding polarity ladder is that we will attract a partner who directly mirrors that. So where we are one side of think about the seesaw that needs to balance in the middle, right, as opposed to when you were kids. Now, I'm a really big person, so if I sat on the seesaw and I was with a really, you know, lightweight person, I'd go like this. It's not how the universe works. We don't work in, you know, highs and lows. We're always trying to equilibrate into a point of homeostatic balance, right? We're always trying to do a little bit of this. And that's what you and your partner are like in a relationship. It's what we're like in dynamic with other people that we just come across. It's an art form that can be applied to any situation, work, relationship, parenting. You're continuously in communion and dynamic with the people on this seesaw, always trying to reach a homeostatic balance. So what that means is if you sit on one side of the spectrum, you have to have the counterbalancing energy so that you balance. Because if they start sitting here, then the seesaw tilts. Does that kind of make sense? Or you do this, seesaw tilts. So wherever you sit will be energetically directly determine where they sit. And the second you shift, they shift. It's this continuous communion where you're always trying to hold it. So which is why the format of relationship that I'm talking about here is always self-work. Because when you shift internally, what you see shifts, and automatically, and like some sort of God-given magic, all the, you know, laws of attraction and laws of the universe, what happens is that the people around you instantaneously shift, because you are a unit. You are a whole universe in your relationship. You are a whole universe in your family. And when you express, it will change that dynamic to make sure that that whole is sitting there. Did that get too complicated? So feminine beings love feminine core beings. So let's just talk about strong polarity and what feminine, masculine kind of mean. So when we're talking about core feminine attributes, we're talking about the love of feeling. Just love to feel something, anything sometimes, but something is better than nothing, just to feel something. And sometimes in relationship, I'll even just provoke you so that I get to feel something from you. I love the ecstasy of feeling good, and I love feeling adored, and I love being desired and the object of your desire. And I love to be a sensual creature. I love to eat. I love to feel and have all of my senses, sight, sound. You know, I love the more, please. I enjoy this food. God, I want more. I enjoy this moment. God, I want to drink more in. You know, it's this more of everything, and let's elevate it. And I love anything that amplifies my inner light, anything that brings shine and beauty and adornment, and anything that amplifies that energy, that light that exists at the very center of me. It's an amplification. So you're a core feminine being. You love being taken by your lover as opposed to being the one that takes the other. You love, you know, romantic movies or dramas that make you feel and cry and laugh, and you're following this roller coaster of emotion, versus, you know, a war, annihilation, you know, I'm winning and I'm fighting for death and life, and then it's all over and life's back. You know, like it's two different ends of the spectrum. If I'm a core masculine being, there is nothing I love more than nothing. Just give me nothing and give me more nothing. And you over there enjoying your feeling, and that feeling getting bigger. I want to remove from it, because the bigger that feels, the more constricted I feel, because my absolute bliss is nothing. It's why all spiritual practices have come from a masculine denomination, right? Because women, sexual energy, attraction, desire, polarity, the everythingness, and the tug of war with that feminine who's always trying to raise your consciousness is seen as a distraction for the core masculine being. That's not life. That's like off my path. My path, I was good. You know, we were straight and solid, and had I understood where we were, and everyone was playing their role, and everything is smooth, and the more nothing there is, like, you know, or when life gets so big and all you want is just nothing, nobody, no sound, no light, no color, just give me a black space with a black cushion, and I'll wear black, and I'll eat a tablet that gives me everything I need for the whole day so I don't have to feel anything, and I'll do a breath where I become nothing, and I'll meditate on my own on a mountaintop for 30 years so I can reach more nothing, right? Like a core masculine, nothing. And core feminine, give me more of everything. So already you can see the dichotomy of relationship, right? And I'm smiling because it's so freaking hard, but it's so freaking glorious. Like when you just get that, everything becomes easier because you understand where his core is coming from, and he understands where your core is coming from. And all of a sudden you're able to speak and move in ways that you've never before in relationship, because you appreciate and adore the differences, because they give you superpowers and they give you desire and they give you spark and electricity and juice and this sensation of just being alive, right? Now, not everybody is going to want a deeply passionate relationship. Not everybody's going to want to rip their partner's clothes off and be thrown against a wall, and that's not for everybody, in which case that's cool. But this isn't the space for you here. This is the space for women and men who want that, particularly in long-term monogamous relationships, right? Where you don't lose that spark of, I guess, kind of, what's the word? You don't have to try for it. So it's like I don't know. I'm trying to think, my mind's gone blank. It's like a lazy man's version of desire, I suppose, and passion. I don't think there's any art in it. I don't think there's any practice in it. I don't think there's any mastery in it. But I think that you can learn that. And then guess what? You get to be the master of your universe. You get to be the queen who reigns over her lands, right? Because you can change everyone in a second. You can change your body. You can introduce polarity. It's like, blah, and you just want to be thrown against the wall. Guess what? You know how to do it. And then you get to live it. So it's like more, right? The amplification. And when you do that with a core masculine being, he chose you for that purpose if you're in a relationship now. And if you're not, then this work sets you up to call in that person, to play more masterfully in relationship. But if you are in relationship, he chose you for that. He being a loose term, of course it can be she, he or she, chose you to be the embodiment of light for them. Light being just energy, and the sensation of light being felt as love. He chose you for that. He chose you as the incarnation that he gets to remember love. He gets to remember his heart and his body and everything that exists below here. But we forget that. And we have all the stories about why we can't be love. That's what this work is here. So, I'll tell you what I wrote down here, because often I talk and then I forget about my notes. So, a masculine, the continuity, the deep consciousness, the no specific form, that which is eternal, the nothing. The feminine, that which changes and moves, hear, smell, think, heart beating, stars moving in the cosmos, body, thoughts, relationship, world, bank accounts, politics, beauty, right, of out external world as well as internal world, everything, energy, everything that is energy. He chose you for energy. He chose you to feed him the energy of life, because you are the cycling unit of that. That is your goddess-given birthright to pulse with energy and be able to feel it amplify it in this beautiful body of amplification that you have, and then send that wave out for other people to enjoy beyond you. It's the birthright of the goddess, right? Or of the queen. So masculine, feminine. That's what I mean by that. I'm talking about a set of attributes that speak to how someone is either themselves expressing or experiencing the world in a moment. And it's simply easier to have one word that says all of that rather than trying to, fit all of that into an enormous sentence. It's easier to just say, yeah, well, that's feminine energy and that's masculine energy, and here's how we're moving. So the reason why I chose Queen School is because for me, the Queen archetype is the one who has moved beyond. She's the embodiment of all of those lessons, and yet in the feminine has dived deeper into an archetypal embodiment of that. So everything that she has learnt in the world through Maiden and Mother has culminated, and even Crone, has culminated in this enormous body of wisdom that she holds within her energy and her intention and her movement in the world. And she takes all of that ready to serve it bigger, to experience life as her purpose of serving the people that she's here to serve, to be the surveyor of her land, to instantaneously, grow flowers there and move something here and decide she needs this construction, so she constructs it, and to be the muse and the inspiration that the beautiful masculine beings that are here for their greatest embodiment to serve her so she can give life to this world, to this land that she serves, right? Is that she inspires them through her embodiment and her movement of life energy. You think about a goddess, you think about a Mother Earth archetype of any sort, right? It's this construction of the whole that exists here, and she inspires the movement because they're moved by love. It's transcended, right? Men are here to experience love through you, to experience life through you. They think they're here for more nothingness, but they're not if they chose to be in relationship with you. So there's an art form to that. Let me have a drink. Let me check back. Love the order. Cool. Let me know if I miss your comment. Are you deformed if you're a woman but find the strong feline overwhelming? I don't understand that. Are you deformed if you're a woman but find the strong, as in you identify more strongly with the masculine? Is that what you mean? Because no, that doesn't make you a deformed woman. Remember the spectrum? You can be woman and have a beautiful, strong masculine that's just delicious to be around, and there's nothing that lights your light and your world and your energy on fire more than being in that polarity. There's nothing that's wrong or incomplete about that just because this body came differently in this world. What I'm talking about is an energetic principle, not a physical one. I'm talking about what it is that getting really clear on what it is at your core that wishes to be expressed more fully in this world in order to experience this life in more colour, and to experience love and relationship as a vehicle towards that experience of more, whatever your more is that you're here to do. And that depends on where you sit on that spectrum. Good, I love you can see both. I think that's what everybody's saying. Okay. All right. So let me go back to my notes. Queen energy, right? It's coming back into relationship with your sovereignty. I think as women, we've forgotten how sovereign we are, how the embodiment of, so many years, right? So many thousands of years of being stripped back from the sovereignty of who we really are in our core, that on some or many levels we've come to believe that. So this is a process of reclaiming your sovereignty, of standing without yelling and stomping your foot, like just rising from the ground in which you stand, because you just know who you are all of a sudden. That sovereignty where you can touch into the gold that you're made of, right? And the power that you wield, and your ability to influence and inspire and guide life, right? Sovereignty. She knows her worth, and it's not dependent on a man, and neither is her sexuality or her fire or her chemistry, not dependent on another, because she doesn't give her power away. She doesn't say, well, when all of these circumstances outside of me and everyone else plays the right role and the good role, then I'll feel like this. She's not codependent. She does not give her power to another space, place, or person. She is the universe, and she knows that. She can make your universe whatever you want it to be in this moment, should it be part of her greatest desire. She is chaos, born of chaos, made for chaos. And like the Buddhists say, everything's in chaos, which it is, right? It's all energy. When you get down to the atom, what's holding it together? Energy. It's all chaos. All of this construction that we like to think we have control over, is chaos, in chaos, continuously. And yet we think we have some level of control or surety by, you know, constructing all of these masculine ways of knowing that we're safe and secure and in control. So the Buddhists say everything's in chaos. So just relax, right? Which is such a beautiful masculine teaching. So back to Queen Energy. Sorry, I do this. I go off on tangents. Please feel free to bring me back. I think I've said those things. She evokes the people who are here to serve her, or any cause that she chooses. She inspires them into action, and they are inspired to serve, and it doesn't feel burdensome. This is the most glorious experience of the muse energy, or of this queen or goddess energy, that's, you just love it so much that there is no such thing as, you know, a burden, because it's all a labor of love, for love, by love, and you experience love and it's giving. Yeah, okay, I hear myself say it, I'm like, it sounds really lofty. And if you have not yet learned how to see the men that exist around you as continuously here to serve the feminine beings, but just with our culture so clunky and continuously getting shut down and cut off, and it is so clunky the way that we function, until you can see it differently, until you realize that actually their greatest desire is to serve you into greater love. No different to sex. The greatest desire and the purpose of taking or penetrating another is to take them more deeply into their experience of love. And in doing that, you receive their loving light or energy into your body, and you go deeper into consciousness. And I know I got too big then, didn't I? I was trying to keep it really simple. I'll bring it back. All right, she's abundant. She's magnetic, and she magnetizes to her what she wants. Magnetism is just energy. Magnetism is just light. Magnetism is the ability to channel, feel, receive, take within you a particular frequency of energy, and then realize that this is like a guitar body, right? This body is like a guitar body. If you just had strings, wouldn't sound real great. But a guitar has this body that amplifies and vibrates the plucking of the strings, and in doing so, expands the energy, amplifies it, and sends it out in a wave or an experience that people outside of the player can feel and can experience. That's what you're here to do. Play a song, but vibrate it in such a way through your body and amplify it and send it out like expressions of love for the people around you to feel. And in doing that, they like, All of a sudden they're opened in ways you didn't think was conceivable, and they're doing things you didn't know that they could do or would do. Or, you know, in the last round of Queens of Women going, okay, so I'm just sitting here having a cup of tea and I'm watching my husband do 5 jobs off the list that have been on that list for like 6 years, and I haven't said a thing. It sounds like magic, but it's not. It's magnetism. It's being the muse and the inspiration. It's recognizing how wrong we've got men and how wrong we've got women, and coming to a place where we can understand and experience the ecstasy of polarity and strong sexual tension, and have a really fucking rocking relationship where you're on the same page and off you go. You can do both. You don't have to be wild and chaotic and dramatic and think that in order to experience those highs and lows of sexual energy, it means you have to let go of the companionship. No. But it's more artful than waiting for the world to deliver something to your body. That is not a queen. She doesn't hand her power over like that. She doesn't say the way I feel is at the mercy of you or this or that. No. She has artfully trained her body and magnified the lessons of her life experience into absolute gold. And it's with that gold that she will play your heartstrings, and it's magic. And all of a sudden the world opens up in new ways, you know. She's able to say everything with her body and her energy, not with her words. He's here for your energy. He's here for your love light. He's here for the amplification and the receiving of that blessing. Not here to be another child for you. Not here so you can tell him what to do. I think I've said most of that. She understands love and sex as a path of spirituality and a free flow of creative energy, because that's all it is. Spirituality is not just the masculine form of disappearing or leaving this body or seeking more nothingness or aloneness. This can be spiritual as well. It's just a different path. Depends where you want to take your hustle, doesn't it? She moves energy through her body as a blessing to her people and to her land, because this, the energy, just even the experience of the energy that we feel in rise to, or response to another woman, to you listening to me, there's something that maybe has made your body rise, like just, oh, that is a gift. Feeling is a gift. It is a blessing. And you as a feminine being can bless a space or the people at 5% or at 200%. But it's here. She takes full responsibility for the suffering of her people, and she feels their suffering as her suffering. She's relentless and humble in her service to her people. Think about the fairy tales that have inspired you. Think about the princesses who have had to defeat the evil queen in order to reign and have the lands and the people prosper. Think about the trials she had to go through to get there. Think about her service, right? We have these ancient archetypes for a reason, because a word calls forth an embodiment or an energetic vibration of that, you know. And the king energy. So this is the really interesting thing, is within all men, just like within all women, exists a king. But often we don't choose to see, have not been trained to see the king that exists at the very center of him. So we meet him, move towards him, speak towards him in a way that does not evoke his king. And we are beings of evocation. You have the power to speak, say, feel, and amplify and evoke a response in the person in front of you. That's how energetic you are. Just by being a being of light, a being who is designed to move energy through her body. You are of energy, by energy, for energy, to heal this world. Really. So if you see the king, that is who you evoke. If you see the prince, that's who you evoke. You see the jester, that's who you evoke. Right? But we've been so conditioned out of seeing who men really are and feeling beyond the bullshit habituation of relationship to call out something deeper and greater in them that we don't. So the king is honorable and trustable. And when he makes his word, he keeps his word. It's trustable to his core. You can let go and surrender fully to this man because, man. Because there's this piece at the very center of him that is so steady and still and strong, yet open to being moved by you and for you, that you can surrender. Can't surrender if you don't feel that. So he's honorable, he's focused, he's trustable, he's decisive. He's focused on vision and achieving that vision, right? Very purpose-driven. Sees the end goal or the evolving end goal. He is the master. He is not the jack of all trades. He has learnt how to complete. He doesn't half-ass things. He doesn't half-finish them. He doesn't say he's going to and then doesn't. It's an incomplete transition to king archetype, of which we see many. Jesus, if our world right now doesn't show us how our culture is raising incomplete adults, how we're being led by so many hurt, wounded, incomplete archetypal boys, that's a conversation for another day, isn't it? He wants to be loved into oblivion, into nothingness, right? He wants to be so moved by energy that he has an experience of feeling it in a way that moves him into such deeper consciousness that it's bliss. You may not know it. He may never say that to you, but that's what it is. He wants to honestly give his queen everything she needs to experience her freedom, because in doing so he experiences his. He really does. You may not have trained him well, and we are always training them. We are always training. Got too many words happening in my head. We are always, oh my God, I did it again. We're always training their responses, or lack of. Anyway, you're training them. So what are you training them into? What have you habituated into, as opposed to a truth of who you really are? And he is the master of space and time. He wants nothing more than to serve and feel his spine straighten and his strength open and move deeper and higher in his body as he serves with more influence, that which is greater than himself. He has to work out how to serve himself first, and then he has to take it bigger. So the king is all of that. And when you can energetically move past his initial shallow bullshit and tap into the energy that speak to that, you can call it Shiva, divine masculine, king, whatever language feels good for you. When you can know and have a sense of felt connection to your own within your body, because we were rejected in our partner, if we rejected in ourselves, and we have hurt stories, hurt experiences. But if I really have worked on experiencing my own perfect, serving, strong, wanting to take me deeper into love, divine king, masculine Shiva. And I can remember that in my body, amplify that, and speak to that in him. That is who will evoke in front of me. But if I close down, shut down, move into fear and constriction, can't trust him, don't know how to trust him, can't feel a trustable part of him anywhere, so therefore won't surrender, he will be just as unpresent to the level of which I am unsurrendered in this moment. And I think my language is going to get too complicated if I move on from here. So that's where I'm going to wrap it up. Ugh, creepy comments on there. All right, I had a scrap with my husband this morning about his indecisiveness. It's infuriating. Yes, it is. I know. Me too. But here's the thing, right? We're in dynamic. So if I'm taking up all of the space of that, if I feel like I can more fully trust and surrender to my direction and my choices, I have trained him into disbelieving that he can meet me, please me, offer me pleasure, do the right thing, right? Do you see that? So in order for him to change, it's not about him getting more decisive. It's about your relationship to trusting your own masculine more than his. And it's an unlearning, right? Like a de-schooling that we're all going through at the moment, or certainly, you know, I'm sitting with it. It's a demasculinizing, although that sounds really hideous. Don't use that word. It's a de-conditioning, de-habituation, right? Of learning how to slowly and subtly shift from trusting me more and my masculine direction to letting that go into surrendered small movements and motions, where all of a sudden there comes a point where I trust it, and in doing so he trusts himself again, and all of a sudden that shifts. But that was me. 100% me. Still sometimes me. You know, if you've been following Nourishing the Mother or me for a little while, you know I have an extremely well-cultivated masculine, because I had massive stories on the feminine, massive hurts, massive wounds, massive rejection. So of course I had a stronger masculine. It was safer for me. Didn't feel good. Felt exhausting, and I would always be in these cycles of getting pissy and rejected and annoyed and frustrated and make it all about him. Why can't you? You're not meeting me. You should be more. Why can't you do this? Da, da, da. You know, like, fuck. You know? So that's a big one. We spend a fair bit of time talking about that in King and Queen, is where we've placed our trust and learning how to unwind what we've learned about our own masculine / you know, how to be a woman or feminine in this culture, which is often to armor up, to trust your own direction because there's no trustable men around you. Ouch. I just barked my frustration at him. Yeah, but you know, we're going to go left and we're going to go right. Like, this is a practice. This is not, relationship is the practice ground, right? You are continuously and forever going to take each other into deeper experiences and wisdom and embodiment in his consciousness and his ability to bring presence and service to the world outside himself, as much as you are for love and loving beyond your closure and loving people into their greatness outside of you. Like, you're always going to be teasing out each other's sore spots in order to amplify your influence, always. It's the practice. This is a practice. This is a philosophy, a way of living, no different to Tantra or yoga or pick your denomination, you know, the Dharma. Like, it doesn't, it's a spiritual practice because I see how it shines and hones my light, and I'm in for that ride because I love it and it lights me on fire, and I know it's my path because it does that. You know, a spiritual path doesn't have to feel like drudgery and torture. Right, we're all here to offer service in different ways and purpose and, you know, light beams in different aspects of this entire universe. The thing that inspires you, that makes you melt, that makes you cry, that opens you up, that, you know, makes you rageful. That's all purposeful. You're meant to pay attention to those things. And if relationship is an enormous pain for you, if you want to feel more and experience more ecstasy and open your body and, you know, all of those things, it is your spiritual path. Don't think it has to look like the masculine ones we see around us. It is a practice. You will fuck up. I still do. It's not about the fuck up. It's not about, oh, I was a good girl or I was a bad girl. It's about, what happened there? What do I need? What has it brought up? What do I need to work on? What has it highlighted? You know, what do I need to be able to, next time I enter this ring, which I will, because we will continue to play and replay the same fight, right? I think of it like a boxing ring. I'll continue to play the same boxer until I learn how to, I don't know what boxing terms are, but I'm thinking in my head until I learn how to tussle, until I learn the lesson of how to still hold this and be in that, I'll keep scheduling a fight with that same fighter. So it will come again. So I get curious about it. When next time it comes, what will I do? What do I need in my arsenal? What are my options so I don't feel so resourceless that I'm back in my old patterning? Because that's neurobiology, right? That's neuroplasticity. You've forged a trench in your brain so deep, and to forge a new one, it takes practice. And it's like teeth with braces. We naturally want to go back to the habituated way of being. Traits become states, right? Brain wires. But you have full flexibility to rewire. But it takes a commitment and a practice, a willingness to show up for love, I think. To experience more of who you are and to experience more of what you're here to be and feel and have in this life. And oh God, I do not want to leave this planet without having fully experienced every facet of my heart and my body and touched love in all of its forms, so that one day when I join back in the consciousness, or I have this vision that one day I'll, you know, leave my body, all I'll be filled with is the most enormous gratitude for all of that. I'm not willing to accept mediocrity, so I show up for the practice because mediocrity is intolerable to me. In love, in relationship, in sex. So, you know, helpful to hear about your journey towards encouraging his masculine. Helped me feel like I was in the right place. Oh, good. I'm glad. All right, well, I'm going to wrap up here. I will see you tomorrow if you are tuning in, 12:30 every day now. So let's do this pre-work for Queen School. Hopefully it's a reminder for those of you who still are in Queen School with me. If you're not and you'd love to jump in, then I'll pop the link below here, but it's certainly on any of my social links. And we start on Monday next week, and we do a whole 7 days of training, and then followed by 7 days of integration. And we follow a pattern of that for Queen, King, Union, which is the relationship. And then we have 4 weeks where we're workshopping and bringing practice, and I will show up for all your Q&As and your clinkiness, and let's get you by the end of, I promise you, by the end of the first week, we start with King for a reason, because we have the biggest stories of men and masculine, particularly in this era of feminine rising. I would hate to think that it's going to be at the demise of masculine squashing, but we just don't know how to see, feel, experience, or raise non-toxic masculines. So this work is as much about parenting for me as it is relationship and sexuality. So you can certainly jump in and join me. There is a payment plan option if you would love to do that. And we start on Monday. So I would love to have you there. But this is the pre-work for my queens. I hope that they really go, oh yeah, back in here, back in this mode. There's something about, you know, being in a community of women and just having this front of mind that allows you just to go places you can't do on your own. When you're trying to read a book or go chapter by chapter or put in place stuff, you just can't do it. So we are women, core feminines, who are designed to raise each other in community. Community amplifies everybody's experience. That's what community is here to do. So come join us. It's Queen School. I promise you it will literally change your relationship life. You can ask any woman who's been in Queen School with me before and she'll tell you that. Promise. But I'll see you tomorrow and we'll continue more juicy conversations.